On this first day of spring, the NatoConnect began with some serious preparation on the Park City Townleaf Plaza. The weather was cloudy and a bit threatening, but the 10 of us were upbeat and excited about the event. I too was psyched up and looking forward to a wonderful odyssey through some of the best Wasatch ski resorts. Because of the heightened avalanche danger, our itinerary would be a bit different than in years past and definitely more conservative than last season. There would be less grueling climbs too, which suited me perfectly as the most senior member of the expedition. At the moment, I was focusing on matching Dirk's bills turns and enjoying the untracked pattern. The risk of avalanche was not the only one lurking that day. There were sudden, large jumps and of course plenty of big trees. But we are all experienced skiers and know better than hugging trees. Under wonderful conditions, the entire caravan followed Nato on what seemed like an endless voyage to Solitude Mountain Resort. That was until we reached the road with some impressive snowbanks and had to stop at the highway to Brighton before crossing into Solitude, the most dangerous point on our route so far. Our problems began on the sunrise chair. As we loaded, my ski tip caught the snow, I fell over and took Dirk down with me, breaking his two poles and twisting his knee. While we were not sure about Dirk's knee, we thought that we could manage by sharing my poles for the Highway to Heaven traverse. I admired Dirk's temerity as he rode the next chair again with me, as if nothing had happened and as if I was a predictable human being. Dirk was also much smarter than me as he stopped at the patrol shack to get a replacement pair of poles for the rest of the trip. The rest of the team was just finding out that Highway to Heaven was closed because of weather. We now had no choice but rejoining Brighton through the Solbright connector. We first thought we might ski for a while in Big Cottonwood Canyon, but the wind was so fierce now that we feared we might be stuck in Brighton should the resort be forced to shut down. Instead, we opted for pulling back towards Park City and rode the Great Western Express right under Clayton Peak. Soon we beeped out of bounds, headed back home. A short descent was ours to take against a wind that was picking up steam every turn we took. This soon got us to the base of our first serious climb of the day, Tri-County Peak. When we reached the top, we could see Jupiter, our next hike. But the downhill portion this time was not as enjoyable, with densely packed snow giving way to icy spots and a wind that showed no sign to abating. Another stop, we packed our skis and crawled up Jupiter Hill. On top, simply standing up was now a major effort. The wind now was raging and my video cam went berserk, translating mayhem into a pinkish color. I personally never had come so close to a state of full rapture. We eventually reached the bottom of the High West Traverse where we thought things would get easier, not knowing yet that the wind would soon turn into hurricane strength. This lone silhouette is Chad. This one's Dirk's, but if you look closely you'll see him hanging onto the boundary rope. His pole has just been blown into the Heber Valley. That's right, pole number 3. I came to his rescue and offered him, what else, my other pole. Together we struggled reaching the part of the traverse a bit sheltered from the raging wind. We found the other survivors, frosty looking but safe and sound. Things should now get a lot easier. There were still strong wind gusts as we began to proceed on Pioneer Ridge, but it seemed that we had gone through the worst. As we re-entered Park City, we enjoyed a few good turns in the fresh snow and had almost forgotten what had happened. Out of the trees and by the summit house, the wind reminded us that it was still in charge, and with the rest of the skiers, we made the best of a challenging situation under the Bonanza chair. We even found that cruising down Silver Queen was laid back and fun. And on the drift road, Nato asked me if I would wear a top with a huge spider logo next year. I simply said, we'll see.